One of the lesser known philodendrons is Philodendron selloum, also known as Philodendron bipinnatifidum, and now correctly named Thaumatophyllum bipinnatifidum. It really is an outdoor plant, and it grows more as a sprawling shrubby tree than an actual tree, but like most philodendrons, it's actually a climbing plant. They often start off in the ground, start climbing, and then change into epiphytes. So although it's classed as being an epiphyte, it's actually a hemiepiphyte. It will grow well in the ground, as you can see here, and it can be grown in pots as well. It could be grown indoors, and with its large, deeply lobed leaves, it's certainly a showstopper indoors or outdoors. However, the smaller growing varieties listed later in the video are more suited for use as indoor plants. As for growing conditions, these plants are originally from South America, from Brazil through to Paraguay and Bolivia. So tropical to warm temperate climates. In warmer zones, it's evergreen. In cooler climates, it will die right back in winter, and with luck regrow from the large underground root system in spring. Outdoors, it requires a warm climate. USDA zones, for example, 8B through to 11. Indoors, it requires good filtered light, moist soil and a good airflow. If you're going to grow this plant indoors, you will need a large container. It starts small, but it grows to be a large plant, and you'll need to pot it up as needed. Use a good quality indoor potting mix, free draining yet moisture retentive, and a position in good bright filtered light. Very low light conditions are not suitable. As for watering, because this really is an epiphytic plant, as such it will not tolerate wet soggy soils. Allow the soil to dry a little between waterings, and if you're growing this one in pots, don't let them sit in sources of water. If the leaves start turning yellow, it usually indicates overwatering, and yellow leaves with brown edges can indicate underwatering. Indoors, you might like to fertilise this plant every 4 weeks from spring through to fall. How often are you going to need to repot this philodendron? Usually every 2 years when grown indoors, and the best time to repot them is in late spring. The root-like growths that do not put out leaves are actually aerial roots, and they act as a support for the plant when it turns into an epiphyte. There are better varieties than the species for indoors. Philodendron Hope is a smaller hybrid, similar fenestrations, and much better suited to growing indoors. Philodendron lickety-split is another smaller growing hybrid. Philodendron selloum compacta was one of the first of the smaller growing varieties, and Philodendron superatom is a miniature or dwarf version. Different foliage though, more compact growing, and the foliage is not as fenestrated and more of a ruffled look. Philodendron winterbourne, also known as Philodendron xanadu, is a cultivar made during the 1980s, and it is probably the most widely grown of all of the smaller growing varieties of Philodendron selloum itself. As for propagation, most commercial nurseries would grow Philodendron selloum from seeds, and this is because it's easier than growing them from stem cuttings. Stem cuttings are more difficult as the stems are usually large. If you can find a smaller manageable stem, you need to take the cuttings with 2 or 3 leaves, cutting the stem just above a node. You can also take a stem cutting with some of the aerial roots on them and pot them into water or soil for rooting, similar to what we have shown you in our Monstera deliciosa propagation video. This plant is also known as the lacy tree philodendron and the horsehead philodendron. This is an amazing plant. It could be a wonderful feature if you have a shaded position near a swimming pool where it's going to create a beautiful tropical look. And we've got more videos coming up soon on other foliage plants, both for indoors and for outdoors. And of course, a whole range of other garden plants as well. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for regular updates. And of course, and as usual, good luck with your gardening.